European missionaries were serving in Africa a century ago, and they hired local villagers as porters to help carry supplies to the distant stations. The porters went at a slower pace than the missionaries desired, so after 2 days, they pushed them to go faster. On day 3 of the trek, the group went twice as far as day 2, and around the campfire that evening, the missionaries congratulated themselves for their great leadership abilities. But on day 4, the workers would not budge. "What's wrong?" asked one of the missionaries. And the villager's spokesman replied, "We cannot go further today." And the missionary asked, "Why? Why not? Everyone seems fine to me." And the African said, "Yes, but we went so quickly yesterday that we must wait here for our souls to catch up." When was the last time you slowed down enough to let your soul catch up with you? And Lamott humorously said that almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a couple minutes, including you. This year I've made a vow to myself to write 1 poem a week because it forces me to slow down and unplug. It challenges me to live into that Taoist mantra, muddy water, let stand, become clear. This year we've been focused on our 4 core values. We've done sermon series on 3 of them. Today we do the 4th series on the first core value, and it's there for a reason: living contemplatively. And today I want to focus on the importance and the value of cultivating stillness in our lives, in our busy lives. Here's a poem about just that. How much weight do you give a pause? Do you honor it like an hour at the gym or 10 hours staring into a computer screen? Of all the decisions that you will make today, will you decide for a moment not to decide anything for a moment? Will you lay it all down, all of it, and remember who you are, welcoming the stranger that you still are to yourself? Will you get real about becoming real? Will you return to body and breath and take a break to heal what's broken? Will you carve out just a few moments and make that easily neglected choice to leave the strategic mind in the waiting room? For the good life, the fruitful one, is created by a multitude of choices no one but you will ever see. We live in a hyperactive world. When people ask you, "How are you?" if you don't say, "I'm so busy," they begin to wonder, what's wrong with you? We wear busyness as a badge of honor. It's become a god that we worship, and somehow it demonstrates in our minds to others that we're important, that we're successful. And all the technological advancements that promise to make life easier just add to the burden of busyness, just another thing to have to worry about and work with. Some have compared busyness to a parasite that sucks us dry, leaving us as if we were a shell of a human being, hollow and empty. As we move from activity to activity to activity, we lose touch with our humanity. We lose touch with our soul. We lose touch with other human beings. We lose touch with what T.S. Eliot described as the still point in our turning world. One of my favorite metaphors for God. And this is true, as Thomas Merton warned, not only in regular activity, but in the activity of doing good things, good ministry. We can become so hyperactive in our ministries that we lose the essence of what we're being invited to bring to the world. Merton described the rush and pressure of modern life as violent against others, violent against our soul, violent against our good intentions. Because if we aren't centered, we cannot bring peace to our work. And we lose the inner wisdom that's part and parcel to every good work that makes it fruitful. Did you ever notice in the Gospels that Jesus is never in a rush? He's never rushing from one place to the other. He continues, it seems, at a very steady pace. One day, one person, one encounter at a time. And in the text for today, I think he's trying to impart that wisdom to the disciples, to us, challenging us to spend less time worrying and more time being still in the presence of the natural world so that we can witness all that is happening around us without our doing anything. Look at the birds of the air. Look at the lilies of the field. They're not busy in the way that so many of us are. Jesus wants us to see the truth that contrary to what we are conditioned to believe, we are not making everything happen in our lives. We're not. There's so much happening all around us that we're not in control of. There's so much happening within us that we're not in control of. Our breath, our heartbeat, our creativity, our intuition, our empathy, all of it is gift that's happening in and through us. We're not making any of that happen. In his poem, Everything is Waiting for You, David Wright writes, "Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you are alone. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely even you at times have felt the grand array, the swelling presence, and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. Put down the weight of your aloneness. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. All the birds and the creatures are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you. For you. Last Tuesday, we began a 6-week journey with Parker Palmer's Let Your Life Speak, and it is intended to be a companion to our sermon series that we launched today. And in the opening chapter, Parker Palmer compares the soul to a wild animal. He says the soul is tough, it's resilient, it's savvy, it's self-sufficient, yet it is exceedingly shy. Exceedingly shy. And so if we want to reconnect with our soul, we need to approach the soul as if it were a wild animal. And so he writes, the last thing we should do then is to go crashing through the woods, shouting for the creature to come out. But if we are willing to walk quietly in the woods and sit silently for an hour or two at the base of a tree, the creature we are waiting for will emerge. And out of the corner of our eye, we may get a glimpse of the wildness we seek. This past summer, I was worn out, on the edge of burnout, needing to reconnect with my soul, wondering whether God may in fact be calling me into a new chapter in my life and ministry. And so I went to Ireland on a restorative pilgrimage. And while I was there, I opened up space for God, waiting for some direction, and I heard this loud and clear: Mark, you're tired. You're tired. I wrote a poem called Tireland about how tired I was and how important it was for me to name that for myself. As I came to the end of my pilgrimage to Ireland, I found myself at the cliffs of Moher, haunted by a question, and I wrote this poem. Why do I come to the edge of the cliff? What is here that is not there? What pull do I feel as I witness brother crow and sister gull? There's something nudging me to let go of ideas that are too small and seek to find a nectar from a source beyond my calculating mind. Here, amongst a sea of tourists, I find a small patch of grass. And I imagine letting the weight of my soul drop me into a freer, flowing existence. What the cow's gaze imparts in stillness. What birds' wings whisper in flight, what the stones proclaim without words, I want to learn again today. I can be still and still be moving to the edge of what I think I know, what my ideas, my small ideas have shouted for too long, for too great a cost. I know there's much more to inhabit. I know stillness is a stance that moves me. I know that I have memories of flight. I know more than I think I know. I come to the edge of the cliffs of Moher to discover an ease I wish to reclaim, to sit with my creaturely siblings and enjoy the source of all this sweetness. In this very strange text that Liz read in the book of Exodus, the Egyptians are pursuing the Israelites, and the Israelites find themselves in the wilderness, and they're not happy about it. They're complaining to Moses, and they've lost their minds so much that they would rather be in Egypt as slaves than be here free people in the wilderness and a little bit uncomfortable. They go so far as to say it would have been better for us to serve in Egypt than to die in the wilderness. But Moses says to them, don't be afraid. Stand firm and see the deliverance that the Lord will accomplish for you today. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to keep still. Is that the strangest military tactic you've ever heard? To keep still in the midst of chaos and violence? Or do we not appreciate the power of stillness in our lives? If things are not working well in your life, have you considered unplugging for just a little bit of time? Have you considered holding down the reset button? Have you considered stopping for a day and letting your soul catch up with you? Have you considered being still and looking around to see all that is going on that you have missed? And are you willing to let the Lord fight for you? In a distant land, there was a warrior known for his exceptional skills at combat. However, what set him apart was his ability to remain calm and still in the face of chaos. One day, a young apprentice asked him the secret of his strength and his composure, and the warrior took the apprentice to a bamboo grove, and he sat down in silence, and he motioned for the apprentice to do the same. Hours passed without a word. The apprentice grew restless, but the warrior remained still. Finally, as the sun began to set, the warrior spoke. In stillness, you find your true strength. The bamboo bends with the wind, but does not break. It is through stillness and flexibility that you become resilient. Remember, true power comes from within. True power comes from within. Do you believe that? Do you really believe that? How much weight do you give a pause? It like an hour at the gym or 10 hours staring into a computer screen. Of all the decisions that you will make today, will you decide for a moment not to decide anything for a moment? Will you lay it all down, all of it, and remember that who you are, welcoming the stranger you are to yourself? Will you get real about becoming real? Will you return to your body and breath and take a break to heal what's broken? Will you carve out just a few moments and make that easily neglected choice to leave the strategic mind in the waiting room? For the good life, the fruitful one, is created by a multitude of choices. No one but you will ever see.